This session is on the new initiatives of Government of India, basically the different schemes of Government of India for funding the new startups. Contents of my presentation, there are basically three major sections of my presentation. One is regarding the MSMEs. What are MSMEs? Micro, small, medium enterprises and their contributions. The second is the facilities and incentives from different organizations or the agencies. And then the new initiatives of Government of India for funding the startups and promoting entrepreneurship. So these are the three major sections of my presentation. So first, let us talk of the MSMEs and their contributions. I hope everybody knows what is an MSME. This is micro, small, medium enterprises. This is the latest definition of the MSMEs 2020, July 2020 definition. A micro enterprise is an enterprise where the investment in the plant and machinery or the equipment does not exceed rupees 1 crore. So investments and then the turnover. So there are two criteria basically. And initially we used to have only one criteria, but now they have two criteria. The investment in plant and machinery alone, not the total investment. And the second is the annual turnover. So for the micro is like very small or tiny basically. The limit is 1 crore for the investments in only plant and machinery, not the total investments. Okay, just plant and machinery only, up to rupees 1 crore, and the annual turnover is up to rupees 5 crores. So it is 5 times basically. For the small, we call the small scale industries or small scale enterprises basically, the limit is 10 crores in the investments, and the turnover is again 5 times, which is 50 crores. So I'm repeating again, the investments in plant and machinery only, not the total investments. So here the limits are 10 and 50, and for the medium, the limit is 50 for the investments, and it is 250 5 times for the annual turnover, right? And anything which is beyond that, that is the large scale sector. So mainly three definitions: micro or tiny, small and medium. Micro, the investment in plant and machinery up to rupees 1 crore. Annual turnover is 5 times. Small scale, the investment is up to 10 crores. The annual turnover is again 5 times. The medium, it is 50 crores, and the annual turnover is again, it is 5 times, which is 250 crores. And beyond that, it is the large scale sector. Right. The contribution of the MSME sector to the manufacturing output, employment, and exports of the country is quite significant. So this sector looks to be very small, like we say micro, small, medium, but it is not that small. If you see the contributions, they are quite significant in terms of the manufacturing, in terms of the employment being generated, and in terms of the exports from the country. So these are some of the figures. If you see 45% of the manufacturing output. So whatever we are producing in the country, around 45% of that is being manufactured in the MSME sector. And, there are around 30 million MSMEs, which are making more than 6,000, different types of products. They generate employment of around 70 million, and around 40% of the exports from the country is from the MSME sector. So this sector is quite significant, and the basic purpose of engaging this session or taking this training program is basically to promote entrepreneurship or to promote the startups. Because there are very less jobs right now, and the students are just wasting their time on sitting idle or just trying to go out of the country. So if we can engage them on how to become entrepreneurs, how to become small scale or medium scale entrepreneurs, or how to start a new startup, then that is the basic purpose of this training program, so that you can motivate them. Right. Now this is the SME sector in different countries. So as you can see, like Hong Kong, Japan, Malaysia, Philippines, these are all basically the Asian countries. And if you see the SME sector, the small and medium enterprise sector is around 98%. So majority of the the industries or majority of the enterprises are basically the SMEs, small and medium, in all these countries, in all these Asia Pacific countries. And their employment generation is it is around 60-70% on an average. So they generate a lot of employment as compared to the large scale, because the money which we put in the MSME sector is quite small as compared to the large scale sector. So if you compare with the large scale sector, the employment generation per rupee is much more in the MSME sector than in the large scale sector. Now, before I proceed further, let us discuss a few basic, definitions. Like we talk of the term loan, like when we go to the banks to take a loan. So there are two types of loans: term loan and working capital loan. I am talking from the perspective of the entrepreneur. So term loan is that loan which we take for the creation of fixed assets. Any money which an entrepreneur takes for the creation of fixed assets, that is known as a term loan. Like, you take the money for, you take the loan for, let us say, land, for building, for machinery. That is all basically the fixed assets. That is known as a term loan. What is the working capital? Now, once you create all the fixed assets, you need the money to run the enterprise, right? You need the money on a day-to-day basis to run the enterprise. You need to buy the raw material. You need to pay to the your workers, electricity bills, water bills. So for that, they again take a loan, and that is known as the working capital loan, right? Then there is another this thing, a definition or a term known as the equity or the PC. PC is promoter's contribution or the margin money. So what is equity or PC or margin money? This is basically the money put in by the entrepreneur. See, promoter's contribution. Who is the promoter? The entrepreneur is the promoter. So his contribution, like when you go to a bank to take a loan, they will never give you 100% loan. They'll tell you to, put in say around 20%, 30%, 40% maybe, So that money which you put in as your contribution, that is known as the promoter's contribution or the equity. Equity means the promoter's contribution basically, or the margin money. Next is the moratorium or the gestation period. Now, this is, when you take a loan, when you take a, let us say, term loan, you cannot start repaying right from the day number one. You need some time to start earning the money, earning the profits. You need some 6 months, 4 months, 8 months, something, you need some time. So that time when you are not repaying the installments, right, that is known as the moratorium period. It generally varies from 6 months to 18 months. Next is the debt equity ratio. What is debt? Debt is the loan which we take, and equity is your own money. Now this ratio, is normally it is 2:1 or 3:1. For a micro, it is 3:1. For small scale and medium scale, it is normally 2:1. That means you have to put in almost 1/3 in the case of a micro, in the case of a small scale, or in the case of a medium scale. But in the case of a micro or tiny, you can just put in only 25% only, right? But there are many schemes in which you have to put in even less than 25% also. So that is the debt equity ratio, because when you put in your business plan for getting the money to the banks, they'll see your all these ratios, debt equity and other ratios. Next is the subsidy. What is subsidy? Subsidy is basically the loan which we are not returning. So the government of India and the state governments, they give a lot of subsidy to the people, to the entrepreneurs, because they want the states or the country to develop industrially. So they will give subsidies. Like if you go to the northeast, they'll give some tax incentives. They'll give some subsidies. If you go to some of the hilly areas, they'll give you subsidies. The basic purpose is to promote the industrialization in those areas. Next is the collateral security. What is collateral? Which is basically it is the additional security. Like when you take a loan from a bank or from any financing agency to buy, let us say, plants and machinery. So when you buy anything from them, from that amount, it is mortgaged to that bank or to the financial corporation. So that is the prime security, the first security. Sometimes they want some additional security in terms of maybe your house registry or some insurance, something like that. That is known as the additional security, collateral security. Next is the break-even point. What is break-even? Where there is neither any profit nor any loss. So when you start your enterprise, initially you're running into losses, but after some time you break even. No profit, no loss, and then from there onwards you are earning into the profits. Basically. So this is the chart for the break-even analysis. If you see this chart on the x-axis, we have the units of production. So you see there are certain fixed cost. Even if the factory is, let us say, not working, there are certain fixed cost. So that is, if you see that that broken line, that is the fixed cost basically, and then there is the other cost, variable cost. So the point where it is intersecting, that is known as the break-even point. So before break-even, there is a loss which is in red. Beyond the break-even, there is a profit which is in the green area. Now we go to the second part of the presentation, which is the facilities and the incentives from different organizations. Now, there are many agencies, many organizations working at different levels, at national level, state level, or district level. I'll take a few of them and in a very, short, in a very glimpse manner, basically. So this is the broad spectrum of different agencies. They're working at the central level, state level, and district level. At the central level, we have the DC MSME. DC is Development Commissioner, MSME, Ministry of Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises. Then we have the NSIC, National Small Industries Corporation. Then we have the KVIC, Khadi and Village Industries Commission. Commission is working at the central level. We have the KVIBs also, Khadi and Village Industries Boards. They are working at the state level. Then we have this NRDC, National Research Development Corporation. Then we have the NI, Ministry of MSME, National Institute of Ministry of MSME, Ministry of Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises. That is in Hyderabad. That is in Yusufgooda, Hyderabad. Initially, they had a different name, but now this is the latest name. Then we have this Entrepreneurship Development Institution, Institute of India in Gujarat, which is close to Ahmedabad. And then we have this NISBD, National Institute of Entrepreneurship and Small Business Development. So they're all working at a central level. At a state level, we have the state financial corporations who are giving the loan. Then we have the SIDCs, State Industrial Development Corporations, technical consultancy organizations. We'll discuss them one by one. And then we have this EDIs working at the state levels also. At the district or other level, we have the DICs, District Industry Center. Every district has got a DIC. And throughout the country, there is a DIC in every district. Like we are in Chandigarh. Chandigarh is like a small unit territory. So we have one DIC in Chandigarh also. They consider Chandigarh as like one district, basically. Sorry. Then we have the industry associations. Then we have the Small Industries Bank of India, which is SIDBI, and then the commercial things. We'll take them all one by one. So first is the, I'll take them, some of them, not all of them, some of the important ones. The first is the NSIC, National Small Industries Corporation. Now they have got a scheme known as the Bank Credit Facilitation Scheme. If you read the name, very carefully, Bank Credit Facilitation Scheme. That means they facilitate getting the credit or the loan from the banks. Bank Credit Facilitation Scheme. So to meet the credit requirements of the MSME units, the NSIC has entered into a MOU, lot of MOUs with various nationalized and private sector banks. So through this, the NSIC arranges the credit support from the banks. The SMEs can upgrade their competence in terms of the business and technologies by getting themselves rated. So they can get themselves rated also. Their rating can also be done through independent, renowned, and professional rating agencies on behalf of the Ministry of MSME. And it is all being done by the NSIC. The SME units are rated in terms of their performance and credit parameters, how credit worthy they are. If you get a, let us say, very good rating, then you will get a very easy loan in the times to come, or even at a lesser rate of interest also, if you have got a very good credit parameter. These SMEs, they increase their credibility in business, which helps them in getting timely credit from banks at liberal rates of interest. And all the documentation pertaining to the completion and submission of a credit proposal to the banks is undertaken by the NSIC, thereby saving the cost and time of the SMEs, small and medium enterprises. The second assistance is the raw material assistance, right? Sometimes the raw material is, let us say, very scarce raw material, right? So you want to import certain raw material, then they can also assist you. So raw material assistance scheme aims at helping the MSMEs by way of financing the purchase of raw materials, both indigenous and imported. This gives an opportunity to the MSMEs to focus better on the manufacturing. So you're not concerned about purchasing the raw material, but you can just focus on the manufacturing in a quality way. So what are the benefits under this scheme? Financial assistance for procurement of the raw material for 90 days, up to 90 days. So there's a cycle of around 90 days. And then MSMEs are helped to avail economies of scale, like bulk purchase, cash discounts, Like there are many MSMEs. So when they give their demand to the NSIC, so they collect all the demands. So they buy in bulk. When they buy in bulk, it is at a less rate, discounted rate basically, and that is passed on to the entrepreneur. So bulk purchases, cash discounts. If you pay in cash, again you get a discount. So these are all benefits given by the NSIC to the entrepreneurs. The NSIC takes care of all the procedures, documentation, and issue of letter of credit in case of the imports. They have got a scheme known as a single point registration scheme. The units registered under the single point registration scheme of NSIC are eligible to get the benefits under the public procurement policy. Public procurement, like we have the GEM, these are all public procurement basically. There's an exemption from payment of earnest money deposits for the MSMEs. This is another scheme by the NSIC, which is known as a bill discounting scheme. What is bill discounting? Basically, you see, when you make something, when you manufacture something, and then you sell. Normally, you sell on credit because cash is very difficult to get initially, so that you have to pay on, you have to give on credit basically. Now you need the money to run the business. So you need the money to run the business. So you do not have the money because you spent the money on making that thing which you have already sold on credit. So if you show that receipt to the NSIC, you can get the money from the NSIC around up to 80 to 90%, right? So that is a bill discounting scheme. The scheme covers genuine trade transactions, that is supplies made to the reputed public limited companies or state and central government departments or the undertakings. The bills drawn by the small scale units for the supplies made by them and duly accepted by the purchaser will be financed by the NSIC. Now we go to the next agency, which is the NRDC, National Research Development Corporation, NRDC. The basic purpose of NRDC is to transfer the technology. NRDC is basically a repository. It is like a bank of the different technologies. In our country, we have many technology generating, labs, agencies basically. So when they generate those technologies, they give it to the NRDC. It's like a bank. Now you are an entrepreneur. You want to get a technology, let us say. You can pay to the NRDC and you can get the technology, right? It was created to develop and exploit the indigenous know-how, inventions, patents coming from all types of R&D institutions in the country. It's a prime vehicle for technology transfer. Now they have different schemes. This is a scheme known as the Program for Inspiring Inventors and Innovators. Program for Inspiring Inventors and Innovators, right? So the NRDC, they promote inventions and the innovations. So they'll fund the people, they'll fund the potential, the people who have that capacity or the capability to make innovations or or inventions basically. So they have set up an intellectual property and technology facilitation center also. They have also set up NRDC University Facilitation Innovation Centers. So the universities, they can get in touch with the NRDC and they can set up those innovation centers by taking funding from them. Innovation centers where the aspiring entrepreneurs, the budding entrepreneurs, they can experiment things over there, or the budding innovators or the inventors also. So under this scheme, they provide patent assistance also. They offer technology knowledge management programs. They provide techno-commercial support to the scientists. Techno-commercial, that means if you want to develop a technology, you will get the support. If you want to commercialize your technology, again, you will get the support. So it's a techno-commercial support. That means entire support, right from making a technology to its commercialization, basically. So they provide techno-commercial support to the scientists, innovators, and students for process, trial, and validation of the technologies. This is the second scheme of the NRDC. It is known as the Program for Development of Technology Inspiring for Commercialization, right? Developing a technology which is to be commercialized. NRDC has a digital knowledge base. It's an innovation portal for commercialization of the innovations. They promote innovations in rural and northeastern regions. We go to in fact, if you see many technologies, like there's a leaf cup making technology. When you make that those cups from the leaves, leaf cup. So that technology is basically with the NRDC. There is one technology known as, which is the the agri waste compaction machines, and they're exporting to different countries also, to the African country and other countries also. So all those technologies are with the NRDC. Right. Now we go to the next this thing agency, which is the SIDBI, Small Industries Development. Word is somehow missing. Small Industries Development Bank of India, SIDBI, SIDBI. You see, we had an IDBI. Even now we have an IDBI. Initially, IDBI was taking care of the large scale sector, medium and small scale sector. But then I think in 2000, this small was taken out of the IDBI. It became a small IDBI, which is SIDBI. Now the IDBI takes care of the large and the medium, and SIDBI takes care of the small sector basically. So they have many schemes. They have a scheme known as the SMILE scheme. What is SMILE? It's like an acronym. S stands for SIDBI. SIDBI Make in India Soft Loan Fund for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. SIDBI Make in India Soft Loan. What is soft loan? The loan which we get at soft, lending terms basically, at a very less rate of interest, maybe 2 to 3% or 1% maybe, right? That is known as a soft loan. The objective of this scheme is to provide term loan on relatively soft terms to the MSMEs to meet the required debt equity ratio. What it means is that, you see, sometimes now suppose you want to set up a unit which is, let us say, costing around 50 lakhs. Suppose you go to a bank to take a loan. The bank says, okay, you put in around 15 lakhs, we'll give you 35 lakhs. Now you do not have the 15 lakhs. You have, let us say, only 10 lakhs or 12 lakhs. The remaining balance, the remaining gap will be breached by again taking a loan, this loan, the soft loan. So this loan is basically to bridge the debt equity gap, right? And it is it is not at a normal rate of interest. It is at a very soft rate of interest, just 2 to 3% or 1% only, right? So that is the objective of this scheme. Then the another scheme is the financing scheme for sustainable development, right? In this, there are two types of beneficiaries. The MSMEs which are planning to invest. So one is the MSMEs which are planning to invest in energy saving equipments and machinery or production processes. So if you want to buy any equipment or machinery which saves energy, which helps in sustainable development, right? You can take a loan under this scheme. Okay, so that is one. The second is for the original equipment manufacturer, those who are manufacturing those equipments. MSMEs are just buying and using them, right? So the MSMEs, they can also take for buying those machines or for buying those equipments. Even the manufacturers, they can also take the loan under this scheme, right? So even it is for the original equipment manufacturers also, which manufacture energy efficient equipment for the MSME sector. The third scheme is TIFAC Srijan scheme. So what is TIFAC? TIFAC is Technology Information Forecasting and Assessment Council. So this is the name of the scheme, TIFAC Srijan scheme. They provide financial assistance to the MSMEs towards development, upscaling, and commercialization of innovative technology-based projects. Any project which is technology-based and it is innovative, you can get an assistance from under this TIFAC region scheme. There's a maximum assistance is up to 1 crore normally, right? And interest rate is also very less, which is not more than 5%. Normally it is more than 10%, right? But in this scheme, it is up to 5% per annum. Then we go to the next scheme, which is a very famous scheme and a very good scheme, especially for the micro, entrepreneurs. In fact, anybody wanting to start a business should start at the micro level. It's better to go in steps. Start with a tiny or a micro, then scale up, go to small, and then medium, and then you can go up to large scale sector also, right? So this is basically for the micro, for the tiny sector. The Prime Minister's Employment Generation Program. There used to be a scheme known as the PMRY earlier, Prime Minister's Rozgar Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Yojana, PMRY. There was another scheme known as the ERGP, Employment and REGP, Rural Employment Generation Program. So now they have clubbed the both the schemes, and this is the clubbed scheme known as the PMEGP. And this scheme, and these are the latest figures as per 2022 notifications. If you want to set up a unit in manufacturing, which is costing up to rupees 50 lakhs, you can apply under this. So this scheme is the PMEGP. So in this scheme, if you want to set up a small, or a micro, let us say a manufacturing this thing business up to rupees 50 lakhs, you can get the, the funding under this scheme, right? And in the case of a service sector, or in the case of any business sector, the limit is up to 20 lakhs, right? So one is manufacturing and one is the service sector, or in the like some trading also. So you can take up to 20 lakhs, right? And this is a very good scheme. In this scheme, there are subsidies also. If you see at the bottom, for the general category, there's a subsidy of 15%. If you belong to a general category and you want to set up a business, want to set up an enterprise in an urban area, it is up to 15% subsidy. If you want to set up your enterprise in rural area, it is up to 25% subsidy for the general category persons. For the special category persons like SC, ST, women also, it is 25% in the urban areas if you want to set up a business in urban areas, and 35% in the rural areas. Balance amount of the total project cost will be provided by the banks in the form of a term loan, right? Okay. You are already running a business, you can again take a second loan also, right? So in this case, in the second case, the beneficiary contribution is only up to 10%, right? And there's a subsidy also, which is 15% flat. But in case you belong to any hill state or the northern eastern regional states, the seven sisters, it's 20%. The eligibility, any individual above the 18 years of age can apply. At least 8 standard pass should be there in case you want to get up to more than 10 lakhs, and there's no income ceiling. And this scheme is being done by all the DICs, district industry centers. There's one DIC in every district of the country, and this scheme is being run by the DICs of all the countries, and even the KVIBs also, Khadi and Village Industries boards also of the different states. So they're running this scheme, and it's a very good scheme. So it's a very simple process. Basically, you go to the DIC or you go to the KVIB, you take a form. Even you can get the form online also. Just fill up the form. Attach a small businessman, just a very small 3-4 pages businessman, and give it to the DIC or give it to the KVIB. They send it to the bank for checking your credentials basically. Now once the bank this thing okays your proposal, so then you have to undergo a training, and that training is being arranged by the DIC or by the KVIB, and that is free of cost for the participants. In fact, they give a stipend also to all the participants for undergoing their training. So once you undergo that training, you get a certificate. You submit the certificate to the bank, and you can get the loan disbursed from the banks. Okay. So in this scheme, the promoter's contribution only 10 to 15%, just 10% or 15% or even 5% sometimes. Right. This is a very good scheme. This is you can see on the portal also, on the website also. Okay, now there are different schemes of funding of technical entrepreneurs by the TBIs. You see, we have the TBIs, the technology business incubators in many institutions, in many engineering colleges, many polytechnics, many universities. They have this technology business incubators. What is an incubator basically? Now you see, when a child is like born premature, he or she needs a certain protection, right? A controlled environment, a controlled temperature, humidity, etc. Same is the case of the business basically. When a new business is born, it is prone to the attacks from the outside, so they need certain protection. So these TBIs, they are, they are set up in different like colleges, separate space. They give all the facilities to the potential entrepreneurs. You can get a space, you can get all the centralized facilities, you can get a conference room, a study meeting rooms, all those things you can get it over there, and then you can start from there. Okay, you're protected from the outside. So once you're reasonably set up over there, and then you have to relocate to the outside basically. Now, when you're working in the TBI, now from where to get the money for your business? So there are different schemes in which those schemes they give the funding to the incubatees, those who are working in the incubators, right? So this is one scheme which is known as the TEP. TEP is technopreneur. Technopreneur means the technical entrepreneur, the one who's technically qualified or the one who's technically experienced, right? Technopreneur Promotion Program, scheme of the DSIR, Department of Scientific and Industrial Research, Government of India. So TEP is a mechanism to promote individual innovators to become technology-based entrepreneurs. So in case you want to become a technology-based entrepreneur, you can get a space in the TBI, any TBI. Of course, they have a very strict scrutiny mechanism also. But once you get it, you can get the funding under the TAP also. So they give the funding up to rupees 60 lakhs in two phases of 15 and 45 lakhs. And there's a benefit to the TBI also, like 8% goes as an administrative fee to the TBI, and 10% of the money lent to the entrepreneur goes to the TBI, because you have to run the TBI also. This is the second scheme, a seed funding. Seed is the initial capital basically, the initial funding basically. Supported by the Technology Development Board, the quantum varies up to rupees 25 lakhs you can get under this scheme for product development, for testing and trials, for test marketing, for mentoring, professional consultancy, filing of the patents, manpower, etc. Up to 25 lakhs. And these limits they keep on changing also. This is a third sort of a scheme, MSME Incubator Initiative. Under this scheme, the government gives a grant of 6.25 lakhs per startup towards technology development and marketing cost. Right. So this is the benefit to the incubatees, and this is service tax exemption also up to rupees 50 lakhs of revenue per venture up for 3 years also. Okay. Now we see the other avenues for the funding, from where to get the funding, right? So there are multiple ways to look for the funding. Below are some of the important ones you can try out. Bank loans we have already discussed. There are many commercial banks, right? This is SIDBI also, right? So they are all basically bank loans. All right. So this I think is this everybody knows. The second is the angel investors. Investors, you must have seen those, the Shark Tanks basically. The angel investors, the ones who will invest in your company, right? So they are not giving a loan to you. They are becoming a part of your company. They're buying a share of your company, maybe 10%, 15%, 20%. So they are angel investors. So they look at your presentation in case they feel that it is a very substantially profitable business in future, let us say. So they'll purchase a part of your company, and then they will give the funding to you, right? So the angel investors are individuals who are ready to invest in your startup in exchange of a share or equity in your business. Many of these angel investors are people with industry experience, and they will also be able to provide you the valuable business advice also. However, you would often need to prove before these investors that your startup has an innovative idea and it is worth investing in. So you give a presentation, they listen to you, they will ask questions to you, and once they're satisfied, they will give the money to you also. Then the venture capitalists. Angel investors are say up to 50 lakhs approximately. Venture capitalists are at a higher level, say up to 10 crores, 20 crores, 30 crores basically. The venture capitalists, they invest in startups which are of high potential. In return for the investment, they get equity in the business. The venture capitalists also make money when the business goes public. So sometimes, when you start a business, when you start any enterprise, it is not listed, right? So the venture capitalists, they come into this thing. They will pay you the money. And when it goes, let us say, listed, and it goes to the public, then they also make this money. What are the other sources of funds? One is bootstrapping. Bootstrapping means self funds, like tightening your shoes basically. So raising the money from your personal savings also. Peer to peer lending, your friends and your family, peer to peer. Crowdfunding, you can get the money from the crowd, from the public basically. And there are many websites also, they can give the money to you. Angel investors, I've already discussed, up to rupees, normally up to rupees 50 lakhs. Venture capitalists up to 100 crores, they can also give. They are high potential businesses that they take up. And then we have the accelerators and the incubators. Incubators we have already discussed. Incubators are meant for the first time businesses, the ones who are starting at the very first time. And who are the accelerators? When it is already running and you want to accelerate, it is not, let us say, going very properly, and you want to accelerate your business. So you go to the accelerator for further giving a push to your business, already running business, right? Like there's a Y Combinator. It's the world's biggest accelerator, which produce Airbnb. So Airbnb was came out of this Y Combinator. It is basically an accelerator. Accelerators, they accelerate the growth of an existing company. While the incubators, they incubate disruptive ideas, new ideas, disruptive ideas, with the hope of building out a business model and the company. So the accelerators focus on scaling a business, while the incubators are often more focused on the innovations. So they take up new ideas, fresh ideas, innovative ideas, disruptive ideas, and then they incubate for the first time. When the company is already running, then you can go to the accelerators for accelerating it up basically. Okay, now we go to the third part of the presentation, which is the new initiatives of Government of India for funding the startups and promoting entrepreneurship. Now there are many schemes of the Government of India, like this one, Atam Nirbhar Bharat Mission. Everybody must have heard of. Atam Nirbhar is self Atam Nirbhar, self self-dependent basically. Yes. The economic crisis triggered by the coronavirus pandemic in 2020 gave birth to the Atam Nirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. Bharat is India and Abhiyan is mission. While the idea was first proposed by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, some of the features are similar to the Swadeshi movement launched on 7th of August 1905 to take on the British regime at that time. Atmanirbhar means self-reliant or self-dependent, self-reliant. On May 12, 2020, Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi has announced in his package to the nation an economic package of rupees 20 trillion to tide over the coronavirus crisis, right? Under this thing, right? So this is the Atmanirbhar, right? Okay. A few examples of Atmanirbhar, like the SAIL, the Steel Authority of India. So they are self-reliant as far as steel production is concerned. The IITs, they are at the top. So they are in engineering education, they are self-reliant. The IIMs are self-reliant in management education. The AIMS in the medical sector, IISs in the science education, triple IITs in information communication technology education, DRDOs in the defense research, and TPC and GAIL in the energy sector. So what are the 5 pillars of Atmanirbhar Bharat? India's self-reliance would depend upon 5 major pillars. Economy, which is right now the 5th largest, it may soon become the 3rd largest. Infrastructure is growing at a very fast rate thanks to Nitin Gadkari ji. Technology-driven systems are happening, vibrant demography, and then the demand, because we have a very, very large population in our country. So the demand is always and will always be there. Okay, now we go to the Startup India. You must have heard of the Startup India. What is Startup India? Startup India is a flagship initiative of the Government of India intended to build a strong ecosystem that is conducive for the growth of startup businesses, those who are trying to freshly start basically. The government through this initiative aims to empower the startups to grow through innovation and design. So the main focus on the innovations, uh, you know, um, innovations basically, and then the designing, right? Now, what is a startup? Startup is an entity or any enterprise incorporated or registered in India not prior to 10 years, right? any business setup, say around 5 years back, it can still be considered as a startup. With annual turnover not exceeding rupees 100 crores in any preceding financial year, not found by splitting up the business. So like some people, they can split up and that becomes, it's not startup. And working towards, this is very important, working towards innovation, development or improvement of products or processes or services, or the enterprise must have a high potential of employment generation, right? So either you are, going into some innovative products, or you are generating a lot of employment or wealth creation, basically. What is eligibility? Any private limited company and a limited LLP registered partnership, they can go for startups. A few questions and then their answers. Can an existing entity register as a startup? The answer is yes. An existing entity means an existing enterprise or a business that meets the criteria can visit the Startup India portal and the mobile app and get itself recognized for various benefits. The second question is, what is the time frame for existing entity to obtain certificate of recognition as a startup? The answer is immediately, right? The process of registration in such cases shall be on real time, and the certificate of recognition would be issued typically within 2 working days upon successful submission of the application. The third question is, would a one-person company, just one person is working, and I have seen many companies where only one person is working, they're known as the OPCs, be eligible to avail benefits under the Startup India initiative? The answer is yes. One-person companies are eligible to avail benefits under the Startup India initiative. Right. What are the benefits to the startups? Eligibility for registration under the Startup India, so that you already know. Income tax benefits are there. They get income tax benefits also. The process is very simple. They're simplified forms and online facility. There's a reduction in cost because the patents and the trademarks, you can get some 80% subsidy over there. Easy access to the funds. There's a venture with the SIDB basically, and you can access that 10,000 crore venture fund from the SIDB under this Startup India. Tax holidays for 3 years, so no need to pay any taxes. You can apply for the government tenders, right? Conditions like prior experience and turnover criteria are relaxed. R&D facilities, you can get access to the startups in upcoming 7 research parks. No time-consuming compliances. You can self-certify a lot of the laws. You can self-certify labor laws and environmental laws. You can self-certify for, I think, 3 years. Tax savings for investors in the form of capital gains. You can choose your investors, because when you come on to that platform, you will have a lot of people who are the startups, and you can get in touch with them also. Easy exit in 90 days in case you just want to, let us say, wind up your company. Within 3 months, you can wind up the company also. And you can meet other entrepreneurs. Participation in startups festivals, both nationally and internationally. So that will give the benefit of having a lot of friends. Right. You need to ensure 3 things before you start working on any startup idea. Number 1, be super passionate about your startup idea. It should be valuable enough to address a market gap. That means in the market, there is a demand which is not being filled up. Okay. Or the demand is there, but supply is less. So you need to bridge that market demand. Okay. Second is, you will need to work hard, and it is often a lot harder than you think. The third is, be ready to accept the failures and do not give up when you see things not working. So failures are a part of the enterprise journey. So failures should be taken as a stepping stone basically, and not as a not to disappoint you basically. Here are 9 important steps that you need to follow to get started. First is, check the feasibility of your idea, whether this idea is feasible. When we talk of the feasibility, there are 4 types of feasibility: technical feasibility, commercial feasibility, economic feasibility, and managerial ability basically, right? What is technical feasibility? That means the technology which are going to employ, that should be feasible, right? What is commercial feasibility? You should be able to generate the profits, right? You should be able to sell basically. Economic feasibility, generating profits, and managerial ability. That means you as an entrepreneur, you should be able to set up that and run that business. If you are, let us say, just fifth class, let us say, pass, and you want to set up a very high tech, let us say, business, you may not be able to do that. Okay. So the bankers, they will see your ability also, whether you have the capability or the ability to run that specific business, start and run that business or not, right? So they'll see your educational qualifications, they'll see your training, they'll see your, the experience, everything, everything they will see. They will see your family details also. In case you belong to any, let us say, business family, you will get a benefit under that. Then have your business plan ready. Choose the right business structure, right? Whether it is proprietorship or partnership, you have to choose. Look for the funds. Funding is, of course, the basic blood of any enterprise. Register in the Startup India program. Intellectual properties you can take care of. Build a good digital presence. It's very important nowadays. The social media, basically, it gives a lot of digital presence, and get a good, workspace. The next scheme is the Stand Up India. That was Startup India. This is the Stand Up India. This is basically meant for the underprivileged people like SCs, STs, women, right? It is basically meant for them. The objective of Stand Up India scheme is to facilitate the bank loan between rupees 10 lakhs and rupees 1 crore to at least one SC or ST and at least one women borrower per bank branch, right? One SC or ST and at least one women borrower per bank branch for setting up a greenfield enterprise. What is a greenfield enterprise? The one which is set up for the very first time. That is a greenfield enterprise. This enterprise may be in the manufacturing or servicing or trading sector. The scheme was launched by PM Shri Modi on 5th April 2016. So these are some of the data basically. Under this scheme, there is no collateral required. That means you do not have to give any additional security. That is a benefit. So you take a loan, you put in your money, and you take a loan, and no need to put any extra additional security basically. No collateral required for extending loans between 10 lakhs and rupees 1 crore to the SC, ST or women borrowers for setting up the green field. That means the first time ventures in manufacturing, trading or service sector. What is eligibility? Only SC, ST individuals and women entrepreneurs can get the benefits of the scheme. The applicant must be aged above 18 years. Only greenfield projects. I'm repeating again and again. You can see in the red color also. A greenfield project can describe any project that a team starts from a scratch for the very first time. Can apply for the loan and loan under the scheme. Non-individuals such as existing firms and businesses can also apply. Okay, it's not only for the individuals; it's also for the non-individuals. Also, they can also apply under this scheme. The interest rate, on the MSME starts from 7.65, but it keeps on varying. The loan amount sanctioned, as low as 50,000, it can go up to few crores. And on the basis of the sanctioned loan, this is in general. On the basis of the sanctioned loan amount, the loan repayment can go up to 15 years. So that tenure can go up to 15 years, the loan repayment, the period basically. A few more details. Margin money is only 1 lakh or 15%, which is just 15%, not 25 or 33%, just only 15%, or is 1 lakh. Scheme is operated by all the banks of all the branches of the scheduled commercial banks. Repayment is usually 7 years, but it can be up to 15 years also. Moratorium or the gestation period is up to 18 months. And the nature of loan is composite. Composite means you can take both the loans, the term loan and the working capital loan, both, right? Up to 85. So 15% is your equity or your contribution. The rest 85% is meant for the term loan and for the working capital loan, both. It is composite loan basically. Right. Now we talk of the innovation and entrepreneurship. And you talk of the innovations, there are two types of innovations. One is the technical or the product. That means innovation in the product or in the process, basically. So product and process innovations. The famous management guru Peter F. Drucker says innovation is a specific tool of an entrepreneur. He says business has only two basic functions, marketing and the innovation. In fact, it is the innovation which distinguishes an entrepreneur from a normal businessman. We cannot call any person as an entrepreneur. The one who does something innovative, only he's an entrepreneur. The remaining are just simple plain businessmen only. So innovation is the key for the entrepreneurs. So what is innovation process? An innovation process starts as a concept in somebody's mind or somebody's brain or head that is refined and developed before the application. The innovation process which leads to useful technology requires research, development, that is upscaling and testing, production, marketing, and then the final use. This is a mathematical definition of innovation by J.L. Baird. He says innovation is creativity multiplied by risk taking. What it means is that if you have a creative idea in your brain and you take the risk of bringing that idea into the market, it becomes an innovation. Till it is in your brain, it is a creative idea, but once it goes to the market, it becomes an innovation. So who are the technopreneurs? The technopreneurs, they start with nothing but an idea. So they take up any idea and then they work backwards. So they're the technopreneurs. They do the reverse engineering basically, right? Let me share a very small example with you. We have a friend in India. We have a friend in Chandigarh. He's a very successful entrepreneur. So how he became a technopreneur? You see, he has two kids who are going in a school. Now, when you sending the kids to your schools, so you drop them at a certain space at a certain point from where the school bus comes and picks them up basically. So one time he went to drop his children to that school bus stop, and he just kept on waiting. So the bus had already gone. He had no idea the bus had already gone. So then he thought of making an app through which on the mobile, through which the parents, they can see where the bus position is right now. And secondly, they can also see their kids sitting inside the bus also. So he put up those cameras inside the school buses of Chandigarh, and it was GPS integrated basically. You can track the bus where the bus is right now, and you can see your children sitting inside the bus also, right? So that is, he became a technopreneur that way. So a technopreneur defies existing practices and systems and he thinks of doing things differently. He creates a product or a solution that uses technology to change the way something was traditionally done. Like, for example, Uber, So the founders of Uber thought they had an idea of a different way to call a cab. So they use the power of technology, they built a GPS integrated app and completely changed the economies of the taxi or the cab industry. The technopreneurship generally begins with the customer experiences and work backwards to arrive at the technology to provide that customer experience. Like Instagram, for example, was born out of the end user's need to not only take the pictures, but also to share those pictures on a real-time basis. Similarly, we have the Facebooks and, Twitter and X, everything. Technopreneurship is a new breed of entrepreneurship. It involves coming together of people who are intelligent, driven, creative, tech savvy is very important, passionate, in fact, super passionate, and have an appetite for taking calculated risk. This is seldom a one-man show. The success of technopreneurship hinges on how well the team functions together. Technology is an integral part of technopreneurship. The technopreneurs, they digitate. Digitate means they do the digitization, they do the disruption. So whatever are the existing practices, they do disrupt the existing practice and they make us something new. They think big but start small, very important. Think big but start small. They strategize with tactics, they test prototypes, implement, sprint with success, and then finally they scale it up. This is another scheme which is known as a New Gen IEDC. New Gen IDC has a mission to promote knowledge-based and technology-driven startups. Knowledge-based and technology-driven startups by harnessing the young minds and their innovation potential in the academic environment. So they will pick up the students from the engineering colleges, the polytechnics, the science colleges, the management colleges, right? So this I'm skipping some of the slides. Then we have this Atal Incubation Centers, Atal Innovation Mission. You must have heard of the Atal Innovation Mission, and there are Atal Innovation Centers also. Each Atal Innovation Center is supported with a grant of up to rupees 10 crores over a period of 5 years, right? So you can set up even the business incubators also under the under the Atal Innovation Mission. You can set up the business incubators in your own institutions. These are the industry applicables. I share this PPT with Dr. Neeraj Bala, and then she can give it to all of you. Then with the Atal Tinkering Labs, you must have heard of these are basically meant for the schools. The fresh, the young school students, the young fresh minds basically, so they can think of doing something innovative. So you can set up a lab using this funds from this under this scheme, where the students of the schools, they can experiment on different types of innovations basically. Another scheme known as the Aspire. This is a promotion of innovation, entrepreneurship, and agro industry or agro-based industry. The host is the MSME, Ministry of MSME, Government of India, and the size of corpus fund is around 200 crores. It's a nationwide district level incubation and accelerator program. What are the objectives? To create new jobs and reduce unemployment, promote entrepreneurship culture in the country, grassroots economic development at the district level, facilitate innovative business solutions for unmet needs, which are not yet met, right? Promote innovation and to further strengthen the competitiveness of the MSME sector. Another scheme known as the Samriddhi Fund scheme. Samriddhi means Samriddhi is what is Samriddhi? Samriddhi is it's a Hindi word basically, like a lot of money basically. Samriddhi Fund scheme of the SIDBI. It's an approximately rupees 430 crore social venture fund. It has envisaged SIDBI it is run by the SIDBI, and it is mainly meant for the some of the like poor states. They if they want to go for some social ventures basically, they can get the fund under this scheme. Social entrepreneurship, actually I'm skipping now because it will be Chinauti scheme is like a challenge. Chinauti is challenge. The STPIs, the Software Technology Parks of India, they through Chinauti 2.0 is looking to identify and support promising startups with a special focus on women-led startups, working on innovative technology products and solutions in focus sectors like education, healthcare, wellness, finance, SaaS important for the women, no? Software as a service, e-commerce, agriculture, etc., etc. You can get a seed money of rupees 25 lakhs. The initial funding you can get up to rupees 25 lakhs. And for 6 months, there's a mentoring also, and you get rupees 10,000 per month during the pre-incubation period also. This is another scheme, the IDEX challenge. It is basically for the defense sectors, those who want to make some technology for the defense areas, defense sector basically. An ecosystem to foster the innovation and technology development in defense and aerospace by engaging innovators and entrepreneurs to deliver technologically advanced solutions for modernizing Indian military. IDEX is aimed at developing technologies addressing every stage of a space mission, from planning to satellite data analytics. So the financial support is from 1.5 crore to around 10 crores under this, those who are eligible applicants. Then there is a scheme known as the Mudra. Mudra is like money, Mudra scheme. Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. Pradhan Mantri is the Prime Minister. Mudra Yojana is a scheme for providing loans up to rupees 10 lakhs to the small or micro enterprises. So there are three categories under this. I'll discuss on the next slide. So up to rupees 10 lakhs you can get for three different categories. Under this Prime Minister's Mudra. Mudra is the money basically. Yojana. Yojana is the scheme. The borrowers can approach any of the lending institutions or can apply online also through this portal. So there are three products basically. One is the Shishu. Shishu is like an infant basically, up to 50,000. Kishore is like an adolescent. From 50,000 to 5 lakhs, you can get the funding. Tarun is like a grown-up kid, from 5 to 10 lakhs. So these are the three different products under this scheme. Let me share the Prime Minister's, views on startups and being successful. He says, take up just one idea. Make that one idea your life. Think of it, dream of it, live on that idea. Let the brain, muscles, nerves, every part of your body be full of that idea. And just leave every other idea alone. This is the way to the success, right? So be very focused, super focused basically, right? And that leads to the success in any endeavor, not only in business, but in any endeavor basically. Any questions or any queries or any comments, anything you want to add? Yes, please.
Our small startup being in the job?
If you are working in an IIT, they permit the professors to have a startup. Okay. In IITs, a professor can have a startup, so they allow. But you have to see your government's the policies and this you have to see them.
Okay, and if we start it, the government will provide some fund or not? Suppose I am here in the Manipal University, Jaipur. It's a private institution. Somehow I can take the permission from the institute.
Yes. There are many schemes of Government of India. I've already shared some of these schemes with you.
Yeah.
So there are many schemes. If you apply into those schemes, you can get the money. Not an issue.
So in that case, if my institute permit me, so then they can provide me the grant.
Yes. Then they can provide you. No, see, even otherwise they can provide you. That's not an issue. But it is for you to see your institution's policy basically.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, all of you.